Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Frank Finance, where you can get your honest financial information and your questions answered. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back, and I will be getting these videos up every week like I've done in the past. Per viewer request, we're going to talk about what are the things that you need to think about when you move to a new city. Alright, so let's get through the 4 points that I think you need to consider when you move to a new city. You probably are all thinking that I'm going to talk about money on the first point. And actually, that is the furthest from the truth. When you move to a new city, you need to really think about what is important to you. So step number 1 is understanding what values and lifestyle you want to live. So let's say you're younger, and what matters most to you is that you're close to your job because you're in a new city. Let's say that what's important to you is that you have access to a gym in walking distance, or maybe you like to go out and enjoy a nightlife, and so you want to be close to something that can support that. Someone that is a middle-aged adult who has kids, you might want to be thinking about how do you support both parents from a commute standpoint. You might want to think about the school districts that you're going to be in, and you also might want to think about amenities that are near you, like grocery stores and the bus stops and things like that. Or if you're a middle-aged adult without kids, maybe you like to travel a ton. So are you close to the airport? All right. Step number 2 is going to be thinking financially now. Here's where the fun stuff is and where the nerd like myself loves to shine. So when you're moving to a new city, your single most expense is going to be where you live. And when you think about where you live, you want to think about the entire cost structure or total cost of ownership of living in that spot. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. When I moved from North Dakota to Minnesota, I wasn't aware that every rental expenditure that was out there did not include basically all the costs, and it was just literally the expense for the 4 walls. So as soon as you started getting deeper into the discussions, all of a sudden you're literally missing 30% of the costs of living in that apartment. And not to mention, do you have parking? How much does it cost for commuting? Figuring out that full picture of understanding what every location is going to cost you. So if you live in the downtown location, if you're working in a job downtown, for instance, what does it cost? It looks way more expensive with parking and the whole 9 yards. So now what if you live out in the metro or out in the suburbs? Then, you're going to have parking as well. It's probably going to be cheaper rent, but you're going to have commute costs. So the gas, the wear and tear in your car, and then your lost time in the evening that you won't get back again. Some things to think about, but I will link a video below to understanding your budget, which is very important for when you're moving to a new city, is that you understand your current budget cash flows and you adjust those amounts to your new city. And a couple other things financially to think about as you move to a new city would be, if you're moving to a new state especially, your car insurance is more than likely going to have to change. You're going to have to get new homeowners insurance, renters insurance, all of those things that you would, think today as just common sense. You would more than likely have to change those things with a new agent as you cross state lines. And then also financially, as you think about the other couple expenditures that might be more expensive, you would have to say, okay, what about food and things of those natures? That's where I would say what is most important to you is going to come out in that bucket. And what I mean by that is, if you're someone that likes to go out to eat and that's what's most important to you, you're more than likely going to have a higher food budget for that area, and you more than likely already have that today. I don't envision moving from state to state that it's going to dramatically change your food budget and going out to eat budget. More than likely, if you move to a new state or a more expensive location, your salary will go up in the same correlation that your more than likely food budget will be required to go up as well, which is why I'm kind of eliminating that. So when you move to a new city, the biggest thing you need to focus on is your housing expense. So step number 3, this one's a little bit of a wrench here. So as you think about moving to the new city and you understand your needs, you understand the financial costs, now the question is, do you have a stable job? And will these new costs or expenditures, which are more than likely going to be higher if you're moving to a more dense population like I did, do you have a sufficient emergency fund to cover the expenditures if something goes wrong? if you lose your job, if you have a car breakdown, the whole 9 yards. Are you set and thinking through those things? The other thing I would think about is if you are moving to a new city and you don't have a job and you're trying to YOLO it, per se, what would end up being an issue is that more than likely it's going to be extremely difficult to get a rental application passed if you don't have an employment. So you're going to end up more than likely looking through Craigslist or living with a family friend if that's okay with you. It's just going to make it a lot more difficult to move if you don't have an offer letter or a job before you move. So for those that are excited right out of college to move to the big city and try to, nail down a job, it could be detrimental if you don't get something set up early. You are going to even have to pay way through the roof up front on an apartment, or you might not be living in the situation which you care most about. All the steps before this, to me, are the exciting steps. Now, step number 4, this is going to be the step that's the most painful, in my opinion. And this is the one that everyone wants to probably push aside, which is cutting ties from your old location. So what I mean by that is, do you still have a rental agreement that lasts for the next 6 months? And you got to find a sublet to probably take over your lease. Can you afford to pay double rent for 6 months? Will your apartment even let you sublet it out? So trying to understand those contracts that you have today that you're financially obligated to pay, how does that change as you move forward? Things like car insurance or homeowner's insurance, those, if you've already prepaid for those, they're going to pay you back for that, and you can just apply it to your new location. Outside of that, thinking about moving your mail, making sure that that's at the new address, walking through everything you do today and make sure that you have those ties covered. And that's really the final step in moving to a new city. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the things that I would be personally thinking about, and I would recommend that you would be thinking about as you move to a new location. Again, remember, when you move to a new city, it's all about what you think is important. If you then write those things down and you pay attention to those items and build those into your plan, the next thing is to build up your personal budget to make sure that you can comfortably live there. And then make sure that you can back it with your emergency fund, as I've always talked about in other videos. And then finally cut those old ties, and you're going to be able to move on into a new city and enjoy new experiences and live life on your terms. Alright, as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Also, down below is the Discord, where we like to talk about financial nerdy stuff that we all find enjoyable for all of my patrons. And for those that also like the live version of this, we are live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Central. Tune in, comment on Twitch, the link's below, and have a great rest of your week. Bye now.